everyone to another episode of Soul Talk. I'm your host Soul, and today we have a special guest. He hasn't been on Soul Talk before, but he has been on the Media Sweaties Network. My good friend Zack. Zack, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing? Glad.
Doing pretty good. So we're gonna change the order up a little bit, since I'm the only one that read a book this past week. But and then we're gonna talk about some Christmas movies, and then go straight into full spoiler Mandalorian. So if you have not seen all the episodes of season 2, after we talk about Christmas movies, get out of here, go watch it, come back, watch the show.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we're going to go straight into the recent reads topic. So a book that I have read is called The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. And this book was just so good. And I think also I added it even a higher list because I read this in a book club that I'm a part of on Instagram called Be Too Weird. So obviously I'm a weirdo, so I'm gonna love being in a book club called Be Too Weird. But we actually got to meet the author through Zoom.
Mm.
And she talked to us about just the process of writing the book and also answered all of our questions, and then told us too that she didn't promote it as well as she could have because she was at protests this summer for Black Lives Matter. So she was doing all the signings, and she read the book out at stand-ins. She's in Nashville right now. She's getting her graduate degree at Vanderbilt. So really cool author. So just if that hasn't gotten you to go, oh, I'm gonna go read this book, then come
Did
on now.
did she do the virtual signings for the book? Like, well, I guess not virtual, but I knew some people who would do Comic Cons and stuff like that, or just any type of gathering. They would actually just have people mail them what they wanted to autograph for a certain price, or whatever. Maybe do you know if she did that? I knew that was a popular thing during COVID.
I don't think so. What she told us is that she was signing books. So I think there's this thing called Lumacrate is a book subscription box that you can get, and so those typically have the signature of the author, and other limited edition ones she signed
Yeah.
them, and then they were in specific colors wrote to what people were there. So she has a code. So if you've had anything that is other than the green or the burgundy pen, it's a specific color because it's because there was someone there that was famous at the time that she was at the protest when she was signing. So
Oh,
you
that's cool.
probably you probably should go message her and be like, "Oh, I got a special color."
That's cool.
But to go into what this book is about, so you have a girl named Kara who's a traverser, and traversers travel the multiverse, but there's a catch. For you to be able to travel the multiverse, your doppelganger, the person that is you in the other universe, in the other world, has to be dead, because otherwise you would arrive and die on landing. So it's
Mm.
and this company called the Eldridge Company is using people like Kara, who have a lot of people. She's dead on think 300 and 70 something Earths. She's dead.
Oh my
So
gosh.
she's able to go to a lot of these different worlds, and they're collecting information to kind of better the world. So oh, what is some worlds are future worlds, some are past worlds, some are just slightly different depending on the way things happen. So it's kind of collecting information to make the Earth Zero, which is the world Kara's from, better. And
That's
so it's
pretty
kind of
neat.
an interesting thing. It is a little post-apocalyptic, but it doesn't really tell you. It doesn't go much into why it's post-apocalyptic. You're just kind of sitting in this world, and you have one city called Wiley City that's kind of in a dome, and it's basically like a utopia. You have the great breathing air, all these gardens, all this great life for anyone who is a citizen of that city. But
Hmm.
outside of the dome, you have a town called Ashtown, and that is just terrible air pollution. People are very poor, kind of. So there's this duality of these people in the city living a great life, while these people who are not citizens of that city aren't
Hmm.
getting the same treatment. So there is kind of some socioeconomic and differences that she kind of hits in that you can put into the real world. So she's
Hmm.
taking real world
Yeah.
stuff but then putting it into her sci-fi book.
That sounds like it'd be a really good TV series. Like, hopefully, maybe Netflix will maybe pitch her and pick that up or something. Or I guess if a TV producer or production company, reaches out to her and wants to do that, I think that sounds like it'd be pretty interesting.
It
You
would
know.
need to be probably a limited series because this is a standalone book, which typically I love reading series, but it was kind of nice to read a standalone book that has the
hmm
beginning and end.
Well, every standalone product that ever gets made, if it makes money, it's going to be
It
a
can,
series.
yeah, it
So,
can be a series.
that's
Uh,
uh,
Go
money
buy this book.
talks.
Let's make
So,
it make this
right.
some money. It was a very interesting, definitely. I typically read more fantasy, but I do like the sci-fi fantasy genre, and so it goes into that. I also am very aware of social issues that are going
hmm
on in our everyday worlds now, so it's cool to see that being talked about. And then
Yeah.
this author is a POC, a person of color, so there's certain aspects to the book that when a white author is writing about it, it doesn't hit in the same way.
hmm
So there's ways that you can see it from their perspective. So it
What's
was
I was like, yeah, it sounds like there it what was I gonna say? Like it just mixes like a bunch of like real world and sort of sci-fi fantasy, but like almost grounded,
mhm,
but it sounds like it could happen almost the way you kind of explained it.
yeah,
Maybe not necessarily the multiverse stuff, but just like people living in the city, have a better lifestyle rather than you explain to people who don't.
yeah,
And then like adding all that, it's kind of like almost like Game of Thrones, where it's kind of grounded, but then the further along you go, the more mystery and fantasy that gets included.
and there is some conniving. There is some like Littlefinger-ish type characters, and
Mm-hmm.
there is in the Ashtown there is an emperor there too. So like
Mm-hmm.
you kind of have some of the um,
Political politics stuff
political
going on.
intrigue
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. And there's
Awesome.
definitely some like blaming of people for things that didn't happen or did happen, but it was someone else who did it,
Yeah,
kind of thing.
maneuvering around for
Yeah.
political position and stuff like that. Yeah, it sounds really interesting. Maybe I'll have to check out the audiobook on that.
I think it's just a little over 300 pages, so it was a pretty quick read for someone like me who reads really fast. And I hear that the audiobook that the person that they chose, because I have a friend who listened to the audiobook, said it was amazing. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to listen to the audiobook come like next year, like probably in a few months, just like, oh, I want to revisit this because
Mm-hmm.
I'm someone who likes to read books because I'm a weirdo.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, I bought them, might as well get my full use out of them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't just want them sitting on the shelf, the rest of their life.
Exactly, exactly. So we're gonna go into some Christmas movies. Now, Zach has been watching a lot of Christmas movies. I've only recently watched one, but every Christmas movie that he's gonna talk about, I've pretty much seen. So it's gonna be our Christmas movie area. So Zach,
Oh
what
Lord.
Christmas movies have you watched?
Um, well, it seems like the only one they put on cable lately is Santa Claus, Santa Claus 2, Elf, The Grinch, 80 times. Um, Bad Santa. I saw that again the other day. I need to watch Bad Santa 2 because I've heard that one's all right. But the first Bad Santa is really good. I'm actually not the biggest fan of Elf, believe it or not. I know people call it a classic, but I'm not really attracted to the over what do you want to call it, like the over caricaturization of like Will Ferrell's acting sometimes, like just being stupid, like
Being
just
silly
completely
and
non-realistic. Yeah,
over the
it's like, but I think it's a good movie, but sometimes it can be like over the top, just stupid. But my favorite Christmas movie by far is um, the Grinch, the live action one. The
I
new
love the live action one.
have you seen the new cartoon one?
I have not, but like I've seen a little snippets of it because it's now
Mm-hmm.
my niece's new obsession. And like any other 3-year-old, they find a movie, they watch it for a few months, and then after those few months, they pick a new movie to obsess with over and over again. So right now for her, it's The Grinch.
Yep.
But she's been through Coco, Frozen,
Hmm.
Tangled, all the classics. So,
Yeah. Um, I didn't think it was that good before I watched it. Like I just kind of had this premeditated thought about it when I saw the trailer. I was like, "Oh, that looks like it's going to be made for kids. Like I'm not going to watch it." And then, Jenna and I finally watched it like a month ago maybe, and it was actually really entertaining, really good. I didn't think the Grinch was going to be mean in it, but he's actually really mean in the beginning, and it's very funny. Like I think one of my favorite Grinch scenes out of all three of the Grinches might be from that little animated movie.
really?
So I would definitely, yeah. I don't want to necessarily ruin it, but he's walking through the grocery store, and there's this little old lady that's reaching for like some jam, and it's too tall for her, so he grabs it, and then he's looking at it and he sets it back up on the shelf. It's too tall, and then she's like, "Hey, I thought you were gonna give that to me or whatever." And then he like bumps his elbow and like makes it fall and break. So he can be pretty mean, and it was really really funny, and it was a cute movie. So I would recommend watching it because at first I didn't think it would be any good, but I actually had a good time watching it. But my favorite one is definitely the live action one. He can't go wrong. I do
I
like
think
the old cartoon one. I've always liked that one, but the live action one is definitely the best.
I think for me, I have a bias towards it too because I love the live action one, and then I've seen the original cartoon one, so I was like, why are they making this again?
Hmm.
Obviously, it's one of those of we're rebooting something that is
Yeah.
already good. Like we can watch the old one.
Hmm.
We don't need to have a new
Yeah.
one. Kind of.
And people in our age range kind of grew up with the Jim Carrey one,
Mhm.
So that was, I know a lot of older people think it's okay, it's like not that great, but that's like my childhood Christmas movie,
And I
is
mean,
The
it
Grinch.
play on 25 Days of Christmas on ABC Family and
Hmm.
like all those other. So the one I've recently watched is This Christmas, just because I absolutely love, 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 love the music from it. So like does have Chris Brown in it. So like
Hmm.
do what you will with that information. But you do have my fellow Cuban Laz Alonso in there. You have
Hmm.
Regina King. You have Idris Elba in it, and it's just this family that gets together that hasn't been together, and I think it's 4 years. Is
Hmm.
that they're having, and it's this giant family, and then the drama that ensues whenever you have a
I
giant,
could imagine. Yeah. Yeah.
and then like one of the siblings brings a white woman like to this black family, like
Oh Lord.
married, and the woman's pregnant too, kind of thing, and so like just all the drama that ensues, and it's a very interesting movie. It's a very heartfelt movie. It's a very much of that parents learning from the children and children learning from
Hmm.
the parents thing.
Is
The
it is it
typical
on the streaming service?
It's on Netflix right now.
Okay, I'll have to check it out because I haven't seen it.
And the music is great. It takes all the Christmas tunes that you know and puts it in an R&B style.
Hmm.
And so
That's cool. Yeah,
you
it sounds. I'll definitely check that one out. Have you seen The Night Before?
I've seen The Night Before Christmas.
Well, it's a Seth Rogen movie called The Night Before, and I haven't seen it, but I saw maybe 10 or 15 minutes of it. Like I just kind of turned it on, and me and Jenna had to go somewhere, um, so I just turned it on until we left, and it was actually like really funny in the 15 minutes I saw. So I think it's more of a, obviously with Seth Rogen, it's going to be a comedy. So um,
And one that just popped in my head is Friday After Next, the third Friday
yep,
movie.
yep,
That's a Christmas movie.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's so funny. The scene where like they're getting robbed, and it's like there's a Santa. Is it the Santa that's robbing them in the
Yeah,
beginning in the scene? Yeah, that's really funny. I'm gonna have to watch that one again because my memory is very fuzzy on that one. But there's like some really funny lines that I can't repeat. Um, on air. So yeah, that one's really good.
and with that, it was a few months ago that me and my friends did like watch all three in a row on Zoom. I fell
Mm.
asleep during Friday After Next because it was, I think, like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh
And I
wow.
was like, oh, I've seen this already. And I kind of conked out. I was like, where in the movie did I conk out? I don't even remember.
Well, hopefully they didn't screen record you or anything, just snoozing.
It was way too dark in my room. Like, it was a black screen.
Mm,
So
nice.
even if they did,
Yeah. Do you like the old, um, like stop motion Christmas movies, like Rudolph and things like that?
I do like them. I think my favorite one is the one where, like Santa becomes Santa, where he goes from
Hmm.
like being a little boy to then actually being Santa. I
Yeah.
think that one's my
What's that
favorite.
one called? Is that like Fred Claus? No, I think that's something else. Um,
Yeah, I
I forget what
cannot
that's called.
remember what it's called, but I know like whenever it
Yeah.
came on, that one was my favorite one of those
Yeah.
stop motion ones. Rankin and Bass is what it I think is the
Maybe.
name of all of them, like all
Yeah.
the stop motion Christmas movies.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, I'd have to rewatch that one to know the name. Um, but
And then
yeah,
the
I really like
Equalizer
the
and all the other ones. Well, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, I just really like the characters from all those type movies, like Yukon Cornelius and the little elf. I forget the dentist elf. I forget his name. Um, yeah, those are all just really funny. I try to watch all of the Christmas stuff. I like once a year, during the holiday season. But once it passes Christmas, and if I haven't watched it, then I'm just like, nah, I'll watch it next year. But I try to like starting in December. I try to watch a lot of the holiday season stuff.
And
But
then a cheat that's not Christmas, but definitely should watch is Eight Crazy Nights.
haven't
Adam
haven't heard
Sandler.
of that. What is that?
The Adam Sandler animated Hanukkah movie.
I have not heard of that.
How have you not heard of Zach? You have homework.
Okay, Eight Crazy Nights. All right, I'll
Eight
have to check
Crazy
it out.
Nights.
Is it on a streaming service?
I have no idea. Well, I'll try to help see where it is. But
Okay,
yeah.
that'll work. Eight Crazy Nights, Adam Sandler.
All right. So I think both of us want to go into Mando, right? Mandalorian.
Yeah. I think that's where yeah. I've been ready, since this started. So
So we're going to bring in Ben, our wonderful producer that's in the background, because he has some Mando thoughts. So he's actually going to show his face on Soul Talk. Come up, Ben.
hey,
Yay!
there he is.
So I'm going to ask Zach first. What are your thoughts on the full season now that you've seen every episode?
The full season recap thoughts. I thought it was very, very good. Obviously, the ending just kind of put it over the top for me. As far as what Disney has done with Star Wars since they've taken over. The Force Awakens is very dear to my heart because of like the trip. We were in Miami for the
Mm-hmm.
bowl game, and I don't remember if you went, but I went to the theater in Miami as soon as like we got off the bus because the day it released, because I could not miss it. I didn't care if I was in Miami. I didn't care if I was in Europe, like doing anything. Like I was not going to miss the opening night of The Force Awakens.
I
So
saw it in Miami too, but I saw it for Christmas with my brother after the bowl
yeah,
game.
okay, yeah, but that's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, as soon as we got off the bus, went up to the hotel, dropped stuff off. I like hightailed it to the theater. But that's very dear to my heart. So it's hard for me to say anything that Disney has done is past that. And Rogue One was close, but not quite there. But with the ending of this season, how it ended, because it was so emotional for me. Because like
We
Luke
can
was
go.
like,
We're going full spoilers here, so
okay,
people.
yeah.
Yeah, if you have
So
not seen it, full spoilers. You don't have to hold yourself back, Zach.
okay, awesome. So the way it ended, obviously, kind of put it over the top. Before that, I really enjoyed the season, but I thought it was kind of missing something. But then whenever Grogu got kidnapped, I was like, okay, there it is. Like there's finally consequences. And when his ship exploded, because in the episodes, I felt like every time he would do a side quest, he wasn't like losing anything. It almost got to the point where it was like almost a video game where there hasn't really been consequences. But then in the same episode, the Razor Crest, gets blown up, completely out of nowhere, and then they kidnap Grogu. So they finally gave us, some ramifications for some of his actions and for him getting involved and stuff. So I think that made it really good. But yeah, I enjoyed the flow of the season. Ahsoka popping in was awesome, and then how they introduced Bo-Katan. And one of my favorite parts was whenever we saw the Snoke, in the first phase of Snoke clone, because I want them to kind of
Bridget.
I wouldn't say fix the sequels, because I enjoy the sequels more than most people, even though I don't think they're that great. I enjoy watching them, and I enjoy the story after you do some mental gymnastics with them. But if they're able to tell that story of Snoke, and obviously they need Grogu's blood and all these Force users' blood, then I think that'll help it come together. So I love how they're just bringing in everything, into season 2, and Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are doing a hell of a job with that, and I really enjoyed it. So now I'll pass it along to Ben.
Yeah, Ben, how did you think the season went? What are your thoughts of the season as a whole?
As a whole, I thought it was great. I thought every episode got better and better. Well, what an amazing epic finale. That Ahsoka Tano episode was maybe my favorite outside of the finale. This is, in my opinion, for me, these 2 seasons of The Mandalorian are the best things of Star Wars since Revenge of the Sith. Maybe
for sure. Yeah.
Maybe Rogue One comes close, but for me, these 2 seasons easily beat the sequel trilogy for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't know, it just really worked for me, and I loved. Mine is a mad CGI, and I can forgive it. That look reveal, man, that was fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In my language, man.
Go ahead. You can curse on this show. You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. But I remember I was watching it at night, and I couldn't tell. I mean, once that X-Wing showed up, I thought, okay, maybe it was Ahsoka. I really thought Ahsoka was going to show up. And then the Black One came. And I was like, no, Ahsoka wouldn't be wearing that. And then we saw all the lightsaber moves. And then I was like, could that be? And then the Queen. And I was like, holy shit, they did this. They actually brought Luke Skywalker in. And to be honest, I forgot about the timeline. I thought we were going to see the Force Awakens look. I thought we were going to get all gray hair, but no, it was that sweet Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker, that everybody wanted to see. And that was epic for me.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off that, I kind of had the same reaction you did whenever you saw the X-Wing, because I didn't initially think it was going to be Luke. All season, whenever people were talking about which Jedi is going to be calling out or which Jedi is going to come get him, obviously the one that makes sense is Luke, because of he's starting the new Jedi Order right after episode 5 or episode 6. But are they really going to have the balls to do that? You know what I mean? That's what I was like. I don't think they would do that. I don't think they would bring him in. So I always thought it was going to be Ahsoka, or I was like, could this be Ezra? Is Ezra? And I really didn't want any other Jedi, because I feel like it gets to the point where they keep telling these stories of other Jedi out there, and I know there's like a lot left after Order 66, but you got to think there were only 10,000 Jedi during like episode 3. So, and then now they have this Cal Kestis guy from the Jedi Fallen Order game, and Kanan and Ezra now being Force trained.
I mean, Kanan's already dead.
Well, yeah, but like after episode 3, because And then now Ahsoka is alive past episode 6. So I didn't want it to be another Jedi other than Luke because of what Yoda tells Luke in episode 6. When gone am I, the last of the Jedi will you be? And yeah, you can interpret that like, of course, well, most people thought like, well, I guess Ahsoka's dead now. But I just don't want other Jedi to be around because that means they're not doing anything too important, for the Jedi cause or whatever. So I always I just want it to be Luke. I don't really care about any of these other Jedi. Like, I care about Ahsoka, but I just want this to be Luke. And when the X-Wing showed up, I was like, there's no way it's going to be Luke. And then I thought it was going to be like Ezra or someone. And then they showed a hooded, cloaked character, walking through the screen, the security, screen. And I was like, could this be? And then whenever they showed it fighting droids, black and white on the screen, I was looking for 2 lightsabers. I was like, is it Ahsoka? And then there was one. I was like, well, it's definitely not Ahsoka. Could it be Ezra or who's it going to be?
Lightsabers are now white.
Yeah,
yeah, but she has 2 though. Yeah,
she has 2. So when I saw that, well, I knew from the hood. I was like, oh my god, this is Luke. But when the green, I was like, okay, it really is Luke.
Yeah, and then the way the lightsaber, you had a point of view almost, and then the lightsaber went through the camera and like going away from the camera. Like, that was amazing. And also, quick side note, ever since the episode, this figure has tripled in value. So
nice.
I am very excited about that, number one.
And I was going to go to where I have a friend. His name is Boggs, and he has been saying this whole time, Luke is going to show up in season 2. Luke is going to show up in season 2. He was going #ignite the green. Like, that was him all season. And we were going,
that's awesome.
No way is this happening.
I didn't think they would do it so soon. Like, this felt like a series finale. I thought if Luke was going to be in it, it would be season 4 finale. The Mandalorian drops Baby Yoda off, or Grogu, at Luke's Jedi Order, and you see like him in like a cloak in the back, and then R2's there, so it's him, and then he leaves, after motion scene. But like, this was straight on, like bam, out of nowhere, and then we get an R2, came out of the elevator out of nowhere, so it was just amazing. Yeah,
it was a double of, oh my gosh, it's Luke, and I was like, oh my gosh, Boggs was right.
Oh yeah, and there was definitely somebody cutting onions, behind me during the goodbye scene between Din Djarin and Grogu.
I mean, thinking back, it wasn't Luke. What if it was Leia? Couldn't it have been Leia?
I thought that too. I was just like, Luke has been training Leia, which you learn in the episode 9. I was going, okay, where's Leia during this? Because Lucas came. And then I was like, okay, maybe she's like off doing some like political stuff, or maybe she's already decided to stop training, because I know that she went more towards a political career than being a Jedi. So I was like, I wonder where exactly in the timeline did she stop training to be a Jedi and decided to do a life of politics.
Well, I have a guess. I'm guessing with what she figured out she was pregnant with Ben.
Yeah, because in episode 9, Luke, whenever he's telling the story, he says Leia had a vision of I forget. I haven't watched episode 9 in a while, but I think it's like
I've only seen it once.
Yeah, and
I have thoughts on that movie. I have thoughts on the whole trilogy.
Hey, we're on Mandalorian now. We can do it.
And I can actually defend Luke's actions in 8 a little bit, but it does require some mental gymnastics.
I love The Last Jedi.
But
okay,
with Mandalorian.
Give me two, real quick. I like what they did with Luke and 8. I don't have a problem with that.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. And they wanted to make that clear.
Yeah, but let me say this real quick. Most people have a problem with the movie because of Luke and like how he was. But if you think about it, in episode 3, it hinges off like an exact quote Yoda tells Anakin in episode 3 whenever they're, because Anakin asks Yoda in like this, meditation area, he says,
kind of like confessional.
That type thing. And Yoda says, be careful we must be when sensing the future. Fear of loss is a path to the dark side. So whenever Luke senses the future and sees Ben's future, he falls to the dark side for a moment. because the dark side is a lifetime thing that they have to battle, and it's like in his blood. His dad is Darth Vader, So
And almost for a moment, it
yeah,
was
for a
just
moment,
a
he
moment,
fell,
and then he
and
stopped.
then it was too
But
late.
from Ben's, well, now Kylo Ren's perspective, it was my
exactly, yeah, and then that pushed him over the edge. So, and then that was enough for.
In episode 6, he had a moment about maybe, possibly,
Yeah, exactly.
Vader and Emperor.
He almost too, yeah, exactly. In episode 6, he almost, and then he made the choice and he threw his lightsaber.
Yeah, and that's the difference between Luke and Anakin. Luke was able to save himself multiple times, but then had to deal with the guilt and didn't know how to deal with the guilt.
Right.
But Anakin couldn't save himself, and he went down the path. So, but yeah, I guess enough of that. We got to get back to the Mandalorian.
So for this season, like, I think every episode except for the spider one for me is a 5 out of 5, and that one's like a 3.5, 4 out of 5 for me. And I was like, if that's the worst episode of the season, then we're good.
Yeah, and that's the one y'all had me on. Y'all had me on the worst one.
And Ben and I think each episode that came out, we're like, I think this is my new favorite of the season. And it kept going on. And I agree, the Ahsoka episode, and I think it's just because she's my girl. I love her so much. Like,
I was indifferent with it because I never watched on Clone Wars, and all I've seen is Rebels. And I liked her in that, but I didn't love her. But this Ahsoka and the Mandalorian, she got me. Now I can't wait for that new series.
And I think we're gonna see Ezra in that. We're for sure gonna see Thrawn, because she dropped that T word. She said Thrawn, and I was like, oh, we're just bringing. And that's one thing that I love about the show, is that it's validating every type of Star Wars fan. Whether you're just a fan of the movies, whether you're just a fan of the cartoon shows, whether you're just a fan of the books, if you're a fan of all of them, it's validating every single type of Star Wars fan from all generations, picking and pulling from all parts. Because I know we've all entered Star Wars. I think Zack and I entered Star Wars more similarly. Ben's a little bit older than us. And so, but any type of Star Wars fans, wherever place that you entered it, this is servicing you. It's there for you. You're part of it.
Did you guys hear that theory out there that, all these new shows coming out, no matter the Boba Fett, Ahsoka, what the
Filoniverse?
Yeah, it's going to be the Filoniverse, and there's going to be one big crossover.
Yeah.
With a big villain. One is a big villain for all these shows.
Yeah. And I think too, and this is I'm stealing it off of, I think it's either my friend Boggs or Collins, or if it was both of them, where they say Star Wars does this instead of being like, oh, 1 + 1, 2 + 2 = 4. In one show, they're going to do 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 in different areas to equal 4. It's kind of one thing that I like about Star Wars, but I don't like comic book wise, where it's like you're reading a comic book line and then you're like, oh wait, now I need to go buy this comic book of a different main character, and then this one and this one to understand the full story. With comic books, I don't like that, but for Star Wars, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, more, give me more, give me more.
But the only pushback I would have on season 2, and I didn't really like Ahsoka randomly at the end, just throwing out Thrawn's name. And I love Thrawn, and I love his books in the EU, and I think he's a great character. He was great in Rebels, obviously, and I hope they do a series about him or whatever, and I hope he's a big villain. But I'm worried that with the Mandalorian popularity, that the suits at Disney are the ones telling, or have already, or are going to say, if you're going to make a TV show, you have to put that character in the Mandalorian so we can start it. Because we've already seen that with Ahsoka now, Boba Fett. There's the Rangers of the New Republic show, which is probably going to be Cara Dune and whoever, which that's rumored. Cara Dune being one of the leads. But I don't want the Mandalorian to be able to have to always introduce a character and then it get its own show, because I just want it to be its own grounded story. And I know they're going to interweave, and I think that's going to be awesome. But I don't want the story to be, handcuffed by the suits at Disney telling Jon Favreau, this is what you have to do. Now we're going to put Baby Yoda in this TV show, so people have to go watch it. We're going to make, because there's a rumor that
of that, but I think Baby Yoda Grogu not being handed off to Luke, I don't think we're going to see him again in The Mandalorian. And I think because the show's called The Mandalorian. And so I think it's going to focus more on Din Djarin. And I think my prediction of next season is that they're going to go around the galaxy looking for other Mandalorians to try to get back Mandalore. And he now has the Darksaber. And that's going to be a conflict between him and Bo-Katan.
Are we going to see them fight?
I don't know if we're going to see him fight, but I think Bo-Katan's going to have some feelings about it that is going to be expressed next season. Because you could tell for just a split second, she was this close to probably going, I'm going to murk him to get my thing back, my sword back. That's mine.
You can tell he didn't want it. He wanted who to have it. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they set something up where it looks like they're fighting, but I don't know. But
I think Bo-Katan has too much honor in herself to set up we're going to do a mock fight, because he was going to hand it to her there, and she wouldn't take it. Honor, and
she had already had it given to her in Rebels, and it didn't work out. Like Sabine already handed it to her, and she lost it, obviously. So I feel like she feels like if it's meant to be, I'll have to win it. And Moff Gideon knew that, and he used that against her.
I think that's the play. I think it was never actually Bo-Katan's. It was Sabine's. And she handed it over. And I think the only way to actually have full ownership of the Darksaber is to win it in battle. Kind of like the Elder Wand with Harry Potter. That was never Snape's. That was Draco's, because Draco unwanted bringing in another.
Speaking of Elder Wand, I read a Reddit post earlier, and somebody said the Darksaber actually belongs to Luke Skywalker rightfully right now. Because if you think about it, Maul rightfully earned it, and then how'd it go? And then I guess he never lost it. It was kind of stolen by Sabine, right? I don't think anybody defeated him in one-on-one combat for it, if I remember correctly.
I forget exactly how Sabine.
And then
I haven't watched the Rebels in a while.
Yeah, I think they just kind of took it, and then Obi-Wan killed Maul, so he would be the rightful owner. And then Darth Vader killed Obi-Wan, so he would be the rightful owner. And then Luke defeated Darth Vader, so they were like, so Luke, they should have just handed the Darksaber to Luke right there, when they had the chance, and that's why it's cursed, and they're all paying for it now. So.
Harry Potter logic.
I know, right? And then literally the first comment on the Reddit post said, "This isn't Elder Wand, bro."
So, who is a better chosen one? Is it Luke Skywalker or Harry Potter?
I think it's Anakin. Yeah,
Anakin
I think
was the chosen one, not Luke.
Yeah, I think it's Anakin, because Emperor could have just killed Luke without Anakin returning, or it could have been Rey. If you really want to go there.
Yeah, I don't want to go there. I like Rey, but I don't want to get into it.
All right, so
Harry Potter is.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Their villain couldn't even take over a high school. That's all I'll say about that. But I do I do enjoy Harry Potter. I just wanted to say that. That's why Luke's
funny.
That's why Luke is a better chosen one than Harry Potter. Is because that was just high school drama.
So let's go into what do you predict next season?
Well, I'm not biased or anything, as you can tell.
So, Zach, what do you think is gonna next season of Mandalorian is gonna be about? What's your prediction now? And we can go back to it next year and see if you were right or not.
I think I'm gonna be exactly right. I think we won't see Baby Yoda next season in The Mandalorian. Maybe they'll do a side show, like a side episode, and they'll have a little mission. But I think some time is going to pass. I think the next time we'll see Grogu is in the Bad Batch series. Personally,
Okay.
at the end we can go over that.
Very interesting take there.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to the. Ask me again at the end, and then I'll tell you. Um, so where was I? What was I saying? Oh yeah, season 3. I think it's going to be. What have we known about Din Djarin like through his journey so far? He's really good at like connecting people, and like gathering a group to go. Like those people don't owe him anything. Everybody he's met along the way, but they always seem to come and help him. Like, what did Bo-Katan need to help Din Djarin for? Even though I know she wanted to go get the Darksaber, but and Cara Dune, he said they have the kid, so everybody just wants to help him and his cause. So I think the next season will start setting up. Let's get the Mandalorians back together, and let's finally get the Empire's ass out of Mandalore. And so we're going to finally get this huge, and that's what I think the big cumulative battle when all these shows intertwine is going to be. It's going to be Ahsoka, it's going to be Bo-Katan, it's going to be the Mandalorian, Din Djarin. It's going to be
it's going to be that Avengers Endgame moment.
It's going to be the Avengers Endgame moment, and it's going to be Thrawn is going to be the person that's on Mandalore or whatever, and there's going to be like 100,000 Mandalorians coming to kick ass against the Empire, and it's going to be one big battle to get Mandalore, saved from the Empire for good.
Do you think that battle's going to be at the end of season 3, or do you think that's going to be like the end of the show?
Probably the end of the show, because they need time for these other shows to intertwine with it. I think that'll be, or the accumulation of it might be they find out the First Order is happening. I think the First Order might be trying to do something on Mandalore. So maybe the Mandalorians got to unite to try to get them off that world. So we'll see. I think that'll be, but I also do see a conflict between, Din Djarin and Bo-Katan, and then hopefully he decides to wield the Darksaber and be the ruler of Mandalore. But we'll see. It's going to be weird whenever he meets the armorer again and he's taking his helmet off. They're all going to be pissed at him. But I think that's where it's heading. That he's going to gather a bunch of Mandalorians and for the cause, because he has nothing to do now.
So Ben, what are your predictions for season 3?
My predictions. I think we're going to get a conflict between Poe and Tim, like we said. I do think we get an episode or two with Grogu. Like what is it called? Like in college, what is that weekend called? Parents' weekend. Like a parents' weekend. Where Jen shows up at Lucy Grogu. I think we're going to get that. And I don't know. There's hopefully more of a thing. There's growing on, growing his character more without maybe doing a attach to him.
Yeah.
And what do you think about that? That is and I'm just can't wait for whatever comes next.
Absolutely. I think also not having Grogu around will help grow the other characters, because it seems like every single episode they need to find somewhere to put him. Like we need to walk into this school to drop him off, or we need to go drop him off at the Frog Lady's house. So now, the characters aren't going to be handcuffed by always having to take care of a baby. So we might see some.
And
maybe
we're not going to have
a
Deus Ex Machina of Grogu like performing his powers to save the day. So I want to go now into, so obviously Luke showing up and the green lightsaber echoing Darth Vader with the red lightsaber was the coolest visual. So we're going to X that out. That's already the coolest visual. You can at me if you don't think so. But so we're going to go, other than that, what do you think the coolest visual is? Mine, and it's going to be from that episode, is when the TIE fighters were zooming out and you could see that.
That was really good.
That, like, I had to rewind it like 2 or 3 times because I was like, that was so fucking cool. So Zach, what was the coolest visual this season for you?
the one, and I don't know if it's the right answer because you didn't text me this earlier to warn me. I didn't have time to think.
On the
But
spot.
yes, you're getting me there.
I
But
didn't know this to do. I might be a producer.
yeah, like
I
what
just
the
thought
hell?
of it
What the
now.
hell, Chrissy? Come on. So the one that instantly pops in my mind though is from the very first episode, whenever it's Cobb Vanth and the Mandalorian up on. It's whenever the Krayt Dragon he goes up on the way top of the hill, and I remember there's a scene where it just shows Boba Fett Cobb Vanth and the Mandalorian like swooping down in their jetpacks, like around the mountain to get to the side of the Krayt Dragon's head. And that was like one of the coolest things I've ever seen because I was just like in love with finally seeing the Boba Fett armor do something. But it's just like I just remember, and I watched the scene like multiple times where they were on top, and then it just shows them like jetpacking, like swooping down to the side, and I just saw like it was badass to finally see Mando like using his jetpack like that, and alongside Boba Fett armor doing that. Like that's what stuck out in my mind right when you said that, just because I watched that one scene, other than the Luke stuff, you know. But now, yeah, I'll pass it to Ben now because so I can think of some others. But that was definitely the one that like clicked right away.
That was a good answer. I think that you could stick with that one.
Yeah, go watch that scene
Don't
again,
at him.
and
You can
you'll.
at me. Anyone who doesn't like Zack or Ben's because I did not give them time to prepare, you can at me. You don't at them.
Yeah. So yeah, but go watch that scene again, and you'll see how cool it is. They like swoop down. I had to rewind it tons of times. It was amazing.
Okay, so I have two.
Go ahead, yeah.
The first one is in that spider episode when all the spiders are chasing them. And they found that visually really cool to watch. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Chamber of Secrets, a little.
Yes.
And then my second one is the Ahsoka fight in her episode. When that name drop happened, I thought that was a beautiful fight and beautiful imagery. That was just top notch for me.
And that episode too showed you, it gave you the foreshadow of, oh, he could use this. Din Djarin can use this to fight a lightsaber. He can use this to fight the dark saber.
Yeah.
So like it showed you right there that look at how powerful Beskar is. So let's now go into that stinger.
Wait.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Wait. I thought of some other really cool ones. Some honorable mentions on like really cool shots. Whenever Bo-Katan like stabs the stormtrooper in the neck and then gives like the turnaround, like the famous where she like turned and looked into the camera after she like stabbed the stormtrooper with her like wrist knife in the throat. That was cool. And then whenever the ship that they take over, whenever they're like the ship launches, from its dock, and then it shows like the four Mandos. It's Din Djarin, Bo-Katan, and then Sasha Banks' character, and then the random dude that wasn't in the finale, so they can have the girl power scene. Which was awesome, and I thought it was better than the Avengers one.
Yeah, that was. I agree.
But I think there was a scene where it was from the backside, and the ship was like going that way, and then it just showed like four Mandos just like chasing it, and I thought that was a really cool shot. But Bo-Katan stabbing the stormtrooper in the neck, and then like turning towards the camera. That was amazing.
All right, so going now to that stinger, Star Wars took a little chip out of Marvel's book and had a end credit scene where we see Boba Fett and announced the Book of Boba Fett. So, Zach, your thoughts on that end credit scene?
My thoughts, because I kind of had the end credit scene spoiled. Well, I didn't have what it was about spoiled, so that was good. I just knew there was one.
Okay.
Because I was on Twitter, and then I saw somebody say there was an end credit, like that end credit scene, But luckily, they didn't say what it was about. So I was thinking it was going to be, like a scene of Luke training Grogu, like whenever I was watching the credits, because it just came off of Luke getting Grogu. So I was like, are they going to show us like, Luke actually training Grogu for a second. So I was really hyped to see that. So I was a little let down. But
that would have been awesome. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, but so it was, but it was awesome seeing like Boba Fett just like walk in and blast, Bib Fortuna, fat Bib Fortuna. Now
they have to fix
then,
the Wikipedia because they said Bib
he
Fortuna
was
was
dead. Yeah,
So they got to fix that and say he is dead now, but he died in a different.
yeah.
Wait,
You know,
that wasn't the same actor, was it?
it was the same one from the prequels that did
Okay.
it, because there's, I think in the Phantom Menace, I think Jabba falls asleep and then Bib Fortuna has to like hit him to wake him up or something, and then that's Matthew Wood who does all the sound, at like Skywalker Sound, and I think he played him again in this end credit scene, but it was cool. But I thought it shouldn't have been Bib Fortuna; they should have kept him dead. I thought it should have been Jabba's son from the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I thought like if like he has to come take over, after Jabba died, and then it would have been
Zero,
badass.
right? Zero was his
Yeah,
name.
well, no, Zero was like one of the cousins
Okay.
or something, the shady one. But remember there was a little baby Jabba the Hutt that Ahsoka had to
Yeah.
save.
I thought the baby's name was Zero, but I could. Yeah.
No, that Zero was a different one. The baby's name was like Rada or something. I can't remember. I know Ahsoka called him Stinky or something like that. Yeah. So, but I thought it would have been badass if Boba Fett would have walked in there and like just shot Jabba the Hutt's son, that we all kind of know from the Clone Wars, and then they like push him over and then drop him down the Rancor pit thing, and then he takes over the throne. I thought that would have been cooler than him killing Bib Fortuna, but obviously him and Bib Fortuna have a little bit of past because he's been around there and Beer Boys practice all the time. So him just shooting him out of cold blood is pretty badass too. So I love the whole thing.
Did you think that when he went over the graded floor, that he was going to be dropped? Because I thought he was going to be dropped.
Yeah, as soon as Fennec Shand walked over it, I was like, "You dumb bitch! Like, it's gonna like has Boba Fett not warned you?" And then Boba Fett comes down the stairs, and then he stands right over it, and I'm like, "Dude, you've been there a million times. Like, what the fuck are you doing?" And then Bib Fortuna's like, Boba, I heard you were dead. And then he just shoots him. It was amazing. It was really good. I'm excited for that series.
So, Ben, what about you? Yeah.
I echo everything. I was a tiny bit disappointed. I would have loved it if Salacious Crumb made a cameo.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
I wanted to hear that laugh one last time.
That would have been good. That would have been good.
We got some memes that I pulled just because it can't be Star Wars without some memes there. Because, especially our generation. So Ben's going to pull some of these up. So you got The Mandalorian Season 2 fixing 2020 for all of us here.
Absolutely.
Here we go. Clone Wars fans every 0.292847 seconds during The Mandalorian Season 2. Pretty accurate.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave Filoni, for that.
And then this one's one that Zack shared. So, no, I said put the red wire where the blue wire.
So that's how the temple burned
Baby
down.
Yoda for burning the temple down.
Oh.
This one is probably my favorite. So I'm going to try to do my best Boston accent. I apologize to any fan who is from Boston. But yeah. I'm sorry, but Bill Burr's accent in Star Wars implies some sort of space Boston. Star Wars. I wasn't a feckin' stormtrooper. My ship is called the Wicked Pisser. Never heard of the Wicked Pisser? It's the ship that made the Kessel Run and go fuck yourself. I love it so much.
Yeah, that's really good. Anything with space Boston in it is great.
Yeah. And then again, that was the coolest scene.
Oh yeah. People keep comparing it to the Rogue One Vader scene. But I think it was more similar to Episode 3 Anakin whenever he goes to Mustafar to kill all the obviously it was in a hallway, but I just felt like with Anakin being a human, and I think those two side by side would look even cooler, because whenever Anakin went to go kill all the Neimoidians, on Mustafar that Palpatine sent him, he was wearing a hood, you could barely see his face, and he was just slaughtering all these, aliens, and it was so no one's put those side to side yet, but I think that'd be cool.
You can be the first.
I will do that today. I'll post it on my Instagram account.
And this one I sent Zach, and he's like, "I'm glad I watched the episode."
I know.
Grogu refuses to go. R2D2 beeps. Grogu, you son of a bitch, I'm in.
I wonder if R2 knows him. I guess we can get to that after the memes.
And then, yeah, here, the Book of Boba Fett. Ah.
Right, let's go. I'm
Let's
excited.
go. I'm excited too. So, but yeah, go ahead, Zach, on getting to after the memes.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if R2 knows Grogu because somebody had to. People keep saying somebody had to save, Grogu from Order 36, but
It's on
I don't.
Coruscant.
I don't necessarily think he was saved. I think he was maybe kidnapped by some maybe bandits that knew of him or something like that, or
Or what if
maybe
he was saved by the Wookiees? Because the Wookiees and
yeah,
Yoda had a relationship. There could have been a Wookiee on Coruscant that
that's
was
true.
like,
Or
go take this
R2D2. I saw somebody try to say R2 had a lot of like unaccounted for time in episode 3, and he says something to C-3PO in the movie, and C-3PO says like "hush, not too loud" or something like that. So people are thinking they can like retcon it into where like R2 actually saved, and that's why I think we'll see Grogu in the Bad Batch series because that takes place during like right whenever Order 66 starts. Because in the trailer you see Palpatine doing the speech he did, in the Revenge of the Sith, and there's a rumor that I've heard that the Bad Batch is supposed to take care of a very high priority, young kid or something, and
oh, there you go.
so. But people are saying it could either be Luke, Leia, or Grogu, and I think Disney would be dumb to not make it Grogu. So I think the Bad Batch is going to be taking care of Grogu for a little bit.
How cute would it be to see Grogu on top of R2D2 as R2D2
I know, right?
scooting, just like him on top of the head?
Is Grogu going to become like a hot potato for all his new shows? Like this,
Yeah.
here's Grogu. Good luck, Trump. Here's Grogu.
Yeah. And that's what I expressed concern about earlier. I didn't want them to throw Baby Yoda in every single thing they're going to do because, to make people watch it. And that's why I think if we ever do get a new Star Wars trilogy, for the Skywalker saga, it's going to be Rey and Grogu, so that way people watch it. That's where I think they're going to go with that.
I really, really hope that they end with episode 9, and any movies that we get could either be way before or way after, but it has nothing to do with the Skywalker line,
Mm-hmm.
I think with movie-wise, I want to see new characters with like maybe a sprinkle of in some like old characters, kind of like the way that they do with the Mandalorian. I think people who say, "Oh no, only new characters, no old characters," know that's really not Star Wars. There's always been some recognizable characters in all the new things that we get. But I also don't want just the same people over and over and over again. I want to have some new things. So yeah, that's why I think the Mandalorian has done such a great job.
Yeah, that's been good. That's been really good.
So, any other thoughts on the Mandalorian, Zach or Ben?
Nope.
Other than it was fantastic, and the ending, was very emotional, especially for me, because I grew up with like Luke and Anakin were like my two, heroes as a kid. So like the second time I watched it, I was more like teary-eyed even like than the first time I watched it. But it was like the first time, I had tears in my eyes just watching like Din Djarin like say bye to Yoda, and I was just in awe that Luke showed up. But the second time I watched it, it was more like when Luke showed up, I was like, okay, I lost it. Like, I just couldn't handle it because it was just like the realization that they were actually like willing to do that almost, and that was the Luke we were waiting for. Even though he turned into a badass at the end of The Last Jedi, that was the Luke that we haven't seen since before I was born. So I'm glad they brought that character back.
Hi. So, Zach, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at the Star Wars Black Series if you're interested in any news, rumors, updates about all of these figures behind me and any other Star Wars products that I kind of try to break news about. Anything I hear through the grapevine, I let people know. So
Heard it through the grapevine. And Ben, where can the people find you?
Oh, you can find me right here on the Media Spanish Network every Tuesday on Shooting the Breeze with Matt. Every Saturday on Recapping the Past with Matt again. Every Sunday on Get Ready with Soul, Jordan, Matt, and 50 Shades of Geek. And on Matt Schmodown every Saturday on a different YouTube channel.
And you can find me at SoulGovan on Twitter, at soul.k.govin on Instagram. You can find me every Wednesday here for Soul Talk. Ben already mentioned on Sundays with Get Sweaty, and you can find me over on the Pop Culture Universe YouTube channel. I pop into all the shows over there, so go check that out. Bye.
Bye.